discretion is advised. This program
Welcome to the serene setting at the waterhole. Two young Waterbuck bulls enjoying the afternoon. This is Safari Live. Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon everybody, and welcome to a stunning low-felt afternoon. It's gorgeous here, the sun is shining, the wind is blowing, the air is verdant, and it is about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. My name is James Hendry, of course, and I'm going to be talking to you from the little tent during the course of this afternoon. As I was saying, we have a glorious afternoon waiting for us here today, and we'd love to hear from you for the course of the afternoon. Hashtag Safari Live is the best way for you to get hold of us, but you can email us on questions@WildEarthTV if you so wish. And I hope you enjoyed our little rehearsal there of our TV opening. A couple of things we need to iron out, and we're going to do that. And of course, you did have visual of Anwar. He has just joined us all the way from India as our broadcast engineer. So it's wonderful to have him here, and we're very pleased that you have now seen him in his very stripy blue shirt, and you, of course, got a bird's eye view of him at the beginning. Excellent stuff. So that's the state of affairs here. We'll find you a couple of small things to show you under the microscope. Perhaps something will come and visit us here. But Tayla McCurdy is out on foot doing the job of Stefan Winterboer. Let's go and find out what she has. I think it's something that is rolling poop.
Good afternoon, and well, we're so happy to have you here. As James said, my name is Tayla McCurdy, and on camera with me this afternoon is Craig, and out and about, keeping us nice and safe, is Rexon. And we do indeed have something rolling about, but it's just about to disappear. So if you have a look, let me move some of this grass out of the way for you, Craig. This beautiful big dung beetle who has been busy, and I suspect has travelled quite a far distance, because we have been following this gentleman for the last 10 minutes, and he's covered quite a number of feet, but it seems as though he has found his burrow where he would like to bury his ball of dung. And I wonder no, he's changed his mind. Look at that. It looked like he wanted to bury it. He went underneath the ball and he started digging away. And typically when the males go out and collect the dung from the various animals and roll it up into a nice tight ball, normally they'll lay a couple of them, and often they will have a pre-dug burrow. And they'll take the first ball down, and then it's sort of easier to put the next balls on top of each other. But I was obviously a bit mistaken. He started digging. Maybe he's looking for a spot. Perhaps this is the first ball. So I'm wondering where he's going to go. Because every time I've ever seen a dung beetle dig and look for a spot to put his ball, normally it's under a shrub of some sort for a bit of protection. And well, I don't see too many of them at the moment. There's a couple of these little perennial plants that have popped up, but they don't really provide the greatest shelter. But there is a big marula tree just in the distance ahead of us, and I wonder if that's perhaps not where he's going. And if that is the case, I actually hope it is, because we'll be able to follow him and on his journey as to where he is going to put his dung ball. Now, if you have just joined us, welcome again. And as James said earlier, this is a live safari, and if you'd like to chat to us, you're more than welcome to either hashtag Safari Live, or you can email us on questions@WildEarthTV. Now, this particular dung beetle, and you can see he's got a number of obstacles that he's got to go around, but he is a telecorporate dung beetle. So basically, telecorporate, what that means is that they go out, they collect dung, they push it into a tight, nice ball like the one you've just seen, and then they take it and they bury it. Now, Mike, you're wondering, how does he make that ball so round? And come and actually have a look. This is a particularly good one. It's so smooth. Look at that. Craig and I were actually commenting on it earlier, and it's not very often that you get to see these balls so smooth like this. And I think it's because of the particular feces that it has used, the type of dung that is chosen from an animal. And I suspect it's probably something like an antelope that has a very good digestive system and that breaks up all the grass quite well, so it's quite fine, and it's got a bit of sand on. So basically they pull bits off with their little legs. Is actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see him because he's on the move, and I don't want to disturb him too much because he might have a long way to go. But very clumsy. Are you tired? But he's got these little spikes and things on the side of his legs which help when gathering dung. And he'll use that and he'll sort of pat them together and flatten it and eventually roll it around. And of course, as he moves it like this, it also does help in compacting the ball and creating that smooth surface. Where are you off to? Craig, he's coming for you. You better watch out. No. I've missed you all so much because I've been gone. Now, you can see, look here, he's trying again. Now, I don't know. I'm too scared to say it. If this is going to be the preferred spot as to where he's going to take this ball underneath the ground. But I have a joke for all of you, and I hope that you're ready for it. Are you ready? Kirst, are you ready for this joke? Because I know you're going to love it. I think I may have told you guys already, but we'll do it again. So, now I've forgotten the joke, obviously. A dung beetle walks into the bar and says to the bartender, "Is this stool taken?" Ha ha ha. Very funny. I'm sure you've all missed me so much. That is my joke of the day. Use it, don't use it. I thought it was hilarious. It was actually on a meme. It was an entire picture and it was very funny. But it seems as though this may be the spot. He's now disappeared down into the burrow. You can see the ball wiggling around a little bit. So what he's doing is he's gone underneath the soil and he's loosening the ground. Because you can imagine, he can't just drag that big pile of dung straight into the ground. He's got to loosen it a little bit, and then eventually he'll be able to pull it down and maneuver it down. But it takes a bit of time. I think we're going to hang around with him and see what he does. Perhaps he'll trick us again. You never know. Maybe he decides that this is not the perfect spot. So we'll follow this dung beetle on his adventures. But we're going to go across to Brent now and say good afternoon to him.
Well, welcome. We've just seen something. I'm not sure what it was. You can see there's a clod of sand there, and I could have sworn I saw the tail flick of a cat. So what I'm going to do is just pop in there a little bit closer. And my name is Brent Leo Smith, and I have my very good friend Brian Joubert. Although the thumb forgot. It was work day, and the thumb forgot to put on any clothes. Silly little thumb. Or silly... It's a naked thumb. I know, the travesty, shock and horror. And remember, if you want to ask us any questions, use the hashtag #SafariLive. Now, I was almost dead certain that there was a cat there, so that's why I'm going to go have a quick look. Now, and see, this is what happens, because Brian and I actually planned to have a bird watching drive today. I feel like now that it's nice and green, we might get some really nice birds. So, well, of course, we're always looking for lions and leopards and wild dogs and hyenas and other creatures. At the same time, I could have just swore I saw the flick of a tail as we drove past. It could, of course, have been a bird. Unlikely, but there was something sleeping. There was something on that, on around that little mound. You never know with this long grass at the moment. A lot of the critters are really camouflaged. I half expect to see Karula in the long grass. Can we see anything in here? No. I don't see anything. It's not often that I'm that sure that there was a cat there and there isn't one. I just want to have a quick squiz to see if any of the grass has been flattened around there. And something might have been lying there. Of course, it could have just been the flash of a Steenbok or a duiker that might have run past, but let's just have a quick look. Okay, hopefully nothing eats me. Or growls at me. So I'm trying to see if any of the grass has been flattened if anything's been sleeping here. Just very old sign of elephants coming through here. Now, I wonder what that was. I was really sure there was something there. But it's great to be back. We had a busy, Jamie and I had a busy week while we were away. Of course, the joys that we're finding out of being first-time home owners. You never really have a holiday because you end up doing lots of different work around the house. And this morning was a chainsaw and tree morning, so I managed to come off a little bit second best. One of the trees won the argument with me as I was dangling about 6 meters up in the air with the chainsaw, and that was just from holding on to the branch. But while we continue our search for birdies and big cats, let's go see how Jamie's search for little Xongile is going.
I was actually really quite terrified that Brent was going to kill himself with that chainsaw, or at least amputate one of his limbs. So all in all, I say a few scratches is not really too serious. But we're starting off our afternoon safari, and a very proper good afternoon to all of you, and welcome on our sunset safari. Starting off with an African hoopoe that appears to have a bald patch around its face. I've never seen that before. He seems to be missing all of his feathers around his eyes. What happened to you, mister? Or Mrs. Not quite sure. Can't tell the difference with the two of them. Oh, this isn't the way I planned on starting my afternoon safari. I was planning on starting my afternoon safari with a leopard, but she's completely vanished. But a very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon VM is on camera with me. And don't forget to please always remember that this is live and interactive, which means that you can send through your questions, and you can do that using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarthTV. Perhaps you have a suggestion as to where Xongile has gone, because I am baffled. Here's some waterbuck. Not a leopard, but a waterbuck, with their bright white circles around their bottoms. And this is the same herd we always see around the Twin Dams area, and I bet you they know where the leopard is. I still have this funny feeling she's watching me somewhere. She's somewhere here. I just can't work out where. And she hasn't left a track. I think I might have to go back to where James saw her and have a better look under the bushes in that area, because I'm not sure to where this little leopard has vanished. And for those of you that are new to these live safaris, Xongile is the gorgeous, nearly 1-year-old leopard cub of the Queen Karula. Sorry, that's quite pretty. The black there she is. Where she is? Am I blind? There's a leopard. Well done, VM. Well, thank goodness I nearly reversed backwards towards the lapwings. All right. Hello, Xongile. Good afternoon. Please tell me how you managed to get all the way over there without leaving a footprint. Light-footed creatures, leopards. There we go. Nice surprise, and a round of applause for VM. And James, you say that Xongile is most definitely her mother's daughter, keeping us scratching our head on a relatively regular basis. I believe you are completely correct. Xongile certainly does keep us guessing. I guess it's something she's inherited from Mum. That is a very good thing to be good at, if you're a leopard, which of course is a creature that relies upon being stealthy and very well hidden. And you were lying down, madam. That's what we're doing. You were lying down and you put your head up because we saw our car. No wonder we didn't see you in the beginning. Hello, little girl. What you up to? Showing more and more independence every time I see her. Every time I see her now on her own, she seems to be on her own little mission. Going off walking. And that, of course, is natural, now that she's nearly a year old. She's capable, if not quite fending for herself, temporarily fending for herself. Oh, we're up again. Don't you know you're meant to be sleeping in the shade? It's hot today. The way her beautiful coat blends in with that grass. Absolutely stunning. I wonder where Mom and Brother are. For our newer viewers, I mentioned that she is nearly a year old. She also has a brother her littermate, called Hosana, who is nearly double her size and at the moment largely absent, although I have been in sightings before where I thought I was only with one cub and all of a sudden another one popped out of the woodwork. So he could well be somewhere around here. It might even be the reason why she left the spot where she was with James earlier. Creeping through. Everything is so beautiful at the moment after the rain. Lush and green, really pretty grasses. You can see she's panting. She's very hot. Are you going to go stalk some waterbuck? Look at that. The grass is taller than her by a long margin. You can see already that delicate high step of a leopard, making sure she doesn't brush against things, make a noise, make a rustle. Which way are you going to go, girl? She's so tiny still. There we go. She's going to come out here. You can see how incredibly comfortable these animals are with our vehicles. Look, she's going to come right up next to us. And if that needed any emphasizing, of course, Wendy's shenanigans during our last TV show, where the car decided to hoot while we were right next to them, well, that was relatively good evidence that they're not fazed by us at all. What's in there? There's such cat-like behavior. Curious, a little bored, trying to find ways to entertain herself. What a nice way to come back to work. While we sit patiently with Xongile, and I congratulate Wiem on his amazing spotting work, let's go and find out what interesting things James is up to in the tent.
I have got something interesting here, but apparently, before I show you the microscopic, we're going to go to the uber macroscopic. There is a bird, and you will notice that it is not being filmed from the ground. Oh no. It is being filmed by Drone Commander C. Teagues. And my question is, what is he following? Isn't that gorgeous? Perfect summer's afternoon. Here we should get a view of what it is. I think it's a vulture. It is a vulture. Oh, that's beautiful. It's a white-backed vulture. Beautiful.
Wow.
Oh.
Great follow.
I wish we could have the sound of what that vulture is hearing right now. Well, I mean, it's hearing the drone largely. But just imagine, if you would, the whistling of the air through that vulture's ears as it whistles past those clouds there on the far eastern horizon. There's another one. You can see the water holes in the distance. I wonder if Connor could tell me, via Kirsten, how high up he is. Is he able to do that? I'd love to know what altitude he's sitting at right now, because I think he's probably pretty much at that drone's limit, I would imagine. Apparently he cannot disclose that information. Oh, I see, yes. Okay, right. Never mind. Is that a river? No, that's a road. I'm sure it's a road down there with a puddle on it. Anyway, this is just fantastic. So he's following these vultures and they're soaring together on the thermals. And there it is, coming to investigate what's here. And there's no danger posed because, of course, a vulture is not a killer of things in the air. So it will come and investigate. Now he's looking due west. He'll come and investigate what this thing... And look how he catches the hot air, blows up into the sky, and then loses the height again as he turns away from the wind, or turns with the wind. That is just too magnificent. There beyond, in lee of the mountains, of course, is the dubious settlement of Hoedspruit, from whence Jamie and Brent have just come. And that vulture scanning around for bits and pieces of carrion to eat. And you know what? I reckon also they fly just simply because it's too much fun to fly around. Isn't that the most brilliant shot? I can't believe that. I could watch that all day long. Right, we're going to go for a very short break now. When you come back, Xongile, and I'll show you what's under the microscope. obviously we're not going for an advert break. So let's go back to the drone because it's too beautiful. Oh! That is a hooded vulture now. Oh my goodness gracious me. That's quarantine clearings he's flying over. That's the Djuma Dam you can see down below there. Oh, and there goes the hooded vulture. Perhaps it's spotted something. It's losing height quite quickly now. There, it's now turning into the wind. Can Connor maybe tell me what direction the wind is blowing? There, it's catching... I don't know, you see, I can't see exactly which way it's going. But what you will notice, now it's gaining height. So it's turned southeast. I'm guessing that the wind is blowing slightly from the southeast. And kitty, kitty, bang, bang, you were wondering, is the vulture following the wind current? Well, yes, absolutely. What they do is they turn into the wind and then they gain height and then they circle around with it, and then as they turn with the wind they lose height slightly, but they go back the other way and then they turn towards the wind and gain more height, and if they can do that in conjunction with the thermal they'll go up quite quickly. You see, it's turned north now and you can look at the wing structure. They close the wings slightly or change the shape. They become more sort of V-shaped when they're flying away from the wind. So I'll show you what I mean just before I show you what's in here. What they do is if they're flying into the wind, they open up as much surface area as they can on the wings, and that obviously gives them the most lift. Then they turn as they turn with the wind. They basically turn out of the wind like that, and if the wind's blowing straight towards us, for example, they'll turn like that, and then the wings slightly go in. I mean, I obviously don't have the arms that can do that, but they've got a joint there, of course, which is the same joint as this wrist joint. They've just got much longer phalanges, and they turn the wing like that. It reduces the. In fact, we can go straight up once I've done this. Oh, there we are. Never mind. They break that joint, and that reduces the surface area, and the bird gains speed, and then it turns again into the wind and opens the wings out, and there comes the lift. Let's see if we can't see them doing that. This is just too wonderful. There's the whiteback. No, that's not. Sorry, that's the hooded vulture. Now, Connor's just hovering there. He's just hovering there. He's hardly moving at all. And we find the other one. Ooh, that's the Wahlberg's eagle. That's the Wahlberg's eagle on the left-hand side. The pale form Wahlbergs that lives around quarantine clearings. Now watch them fly. They're with the wind. At least, yeah, they're with the wind. Now turning into the wind, and look, see how they're gaining height, both of them. Then they'll turn. They've got a thermal too. See, now they're losing height as the wind comes from behind them, turning back into the wind with the thermal, and whoop, suddenly they pick up another sort of 5 meters or so. And always lose height the way when the wind is behind them. Now we're going to go into Tayla's view of what's going on here. That's what Tayla's seeing. There's the drone hovering around. This is just so great. And there are the two birds now. They're facing southeast. You can see now they're both turning north. Look at the speed with which they're moving now. And look, did you see that folded wing structure? There they're turning back into the wind. Wings open up. The vulture on the right-hand side. That's the eagle there on the left going past the drone. Goodness gracious me. Look at that. That's the eagle. Ah, wow. Doesn't this just make you feel like you are a vulture or an eagle? I suppose you'd want to feel like you're an eagle, wouldn't you? Welcome back, everybody, to your live safari from the western fringes here of the Great Kruger National Park, where we've been spending some amazing time with the birds of the air. My name is James Hendry, and out in the air we've got two wonderful vultures. Jamie's with Xongile the Leopard, and Brent is knocking about looking for interesting birds. Tayla showed you a dung beetle. All right, we're back into normal mode now. Are we going to go back up there, Kirst? or shall we negative? We are finished now with the drone. Was that not too spectacular? Now, unfortunately for the TV shows, of course, we won't have that, and that's simply because it won't be hot enough. Right, let's go to the microscope feed. There is our tadpole. Now, to most of you who've been watching this since last week when we captured these tadpoles, and I must just tell you, I bought them a very salubrious home to live in. They only live like this when they're being shown on the TV. I must just tell you that they don't look like they've grown, but they have. They're about double the size they were last week. They're eating plenty of algae. This one has just gone to the loo. They've been doing that all day. And what I'm just going to try and do quickly is shake it a little. And what I just want to see if I can flip him over, because you can actually see the green algae in the intestines. But I don't want to stress him out too much. One more little shaky. No, they don't like it. Anyway, I'm going to put him back, and we think what this is a dwarf puddle frog. That is what Tristan identified it to. And if you come back to me, I'll show you what it looks like. And I know this is not the most spectacular thing in the world yet, but apparently what happens is, for the first few weeks like that, nothing much changes. They just get a little bit bigger. They probably build up a whole lot of reserves. But once the metamorphosis starts to take place, apparently it happens quite quickly, and it is very interesting. Now, I will just quickly find you the dwarf puddle frog. I'm assuming that I should look under P for puddle frog. P. P. Pa. 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 Puddle frog. Dwarf. 89. Excellent. Are you ready, David?
Yes, James.
Are you excited to see what our puddle frog is going to look like? It's not that exciting, I must confess to you. There it is there. It looks like sand. But I can't wait till they look like that, and then, of course, they will be released. And in fact, I should probably tomorrow bring in their salubrious accommodations. Now, I think you'll be most impressed with what we have created for them to live in. Good. Let's head straight back across to Tayla, who has got... Oh, no, that's Jamie. We're going to go across to Jamie and the gorgeous Xongile.
All the tiny creatures out here are growing up so incredibly quickly. James's tadpoles, Xongile, and Xongile showing us once again how easily we could have driven past her the first time. I mean, she has basically essentially climbed underneath the weeping wattle into the longest grass that we get that's out here in this area, and she's managed to find herself a spot that is so hidden. All we can really see is one delicate little foot while she has a bath underneath the tree. So she really truly has found herself the perfect patch of shade. Are you quite comfortable there, girl, now that we can't see you at all? I actually thought she disappeared from there completely. I was wondering how I'd managed to lose her, until I just saw the slightest movement of spots from behind the grass. So she really is giving us a thorough demonstration of her incredible camouflage skills. Are you going to stay there all afternoon now? Is that what you're going to do? Well, I have to admit, it looks like a very comfortable spot to be in the shade, in this kind of afternoon humid heat. There we go. Peekaboo. Hello. Earlier on, she was showing every sign of the fact that she wants to go and stalk those waterbucks just for fun, which they do, of course, even though they can't catch them. Now, we've spoken a lot about her independence and the fact that she is growing up, and so play-stalking things like Waterbuck is a great way to learn and to practice the skills that she'll need one day when she is independent. And Kathy, welcome on our sunset safari. Thank you for sending through your question. You want to know about what age will Xongile become independent? Probably in the next 6 months or so, give or take. So it's usually for females. For female cubs, it happens sooner than with the male cubs, and it's usually around a year and a half, but of course each and every individual is different. Some are more independent than others. Hello, little one. Some females are slightly larger, just like human beings that go through puberty at different times. Although leopards there's less variation within them, you'll find that the different characters will show more independence sooner than others. It's impossible to predict with Xongile, but we know it most likely will be long before her brother decides to leave Karula. And she might go and come back. It's not a sudden thing that happens overnight with one particular moment where Karula sort of turns around and growls at her. And there you go. That brings us very neatly into Michael's question, which is, will Karula force her out, or is it instinctive? Will Xongile, oh cute, another little eyes just peeking through the grass. Yes, we're talking about you. We're talking about one day when you're big and all alone. Michael, Karula won't force her out. Karula, what you'll find is that with most female leopards, they start to get a little bit less tolerant of their offspring, although apparently Karula's always been very, very patient, even with her adult offspring hanging around. Viewers have told me all about Quarantine and Kunuma and how tolerant Karula was of them. But it's generally not entirely in the actions of the mother. So she might get a bit more growly, a bit more snarly, and a bit less affectionate. If she were to have cubs, you'd probably find that she would be more forceful about pushing away Xongile and Hosana, just because she has to devote her attention to a new litter. So if she became pregnant before they became independent, then you might see a bit more of aggression from her. But generally it's instinctive, and the slow but sure steady movement away from mom, taking longer and longer trips away from her, disappearing for a longer period of time. When we did the TV show on Monday morning, Hosana was at the kill, so obviously he was where Karula left them, or close to where Karula left them, and judging by Karula's body language when she came back with Xongile, she was really well and truly thoroughly unimpressed with her daughter and the fact that she had to go and search for her once again after hunting and everything like that. So it'll be a gradual behavioral thing on Xongile's part. Well, since Xongile is doing such a good game of hide and seek, let's go and see what Brent has found.
Oh, look at this! This is not something you get to see every day, and I haven't seen too many of this. This is two little baby white-crowned shrikes, and they are sitting on the nest. We're on a road that Brian and I, the killer bees, have never traversed before. It is a road that is not used very often here on Chitwa. Long grass through it. It feels like we're deep, deep in darkest Africa. And there we go, you can see there, not one of the well-used roads here, so quite a nice little surprise finding that little nest. Mom's just arrived, or dad, but no food in the mouth. Can you get there? Is it too high? There we go, it's either mom or dad. So that little one started making noise as soon as the adult flew in, but alas for the little ones, there's no food in her beak, or his beak. Let's see if we get a little bit closer to those little babies. They look really, really cool. So I'm just going to drive a little bit closer. They look like they're quite big. They're almost fledged completely. So they could be thinking about taking off, but I don't think just yet. So let's see, have a look. Are we too close? That's all right. That is so cool. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Look at that nest. It's incredibly well built. I'm trying to see what it's made of. Now you can see quite a lot of different birds, and that looks like it's been used or put together with spider webs. And you can see there are two chicks in there. They're getting quite big for that little nest. That is so cool. Oh, they're pretty little things. Remember, if you have any questions, use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. And the killer bees are going on a killer birding day. And this is our first species for the afternoon. So we'd love you to keep track with us. So our first species is the white-crowned shrike. That nest is absolutely fascinating. It's so well constructed. Can we get a bit closer on the nest there, Brian? There we go. Now, I'm trying to see. It does look like spider webs that have been used to patch it together. Hello, little one. That is so cool. Nice thorny knob thorn right on the edge of the branch. And if we come out a little bit, you'll see. Now, the reason quite a lot of birds like to nest on the edge of a branch like that is because it makes it a little bit more difficult for the snakes to get. And they're not the only bird. There's also a red-headed weaver. Well, that has abandoned its nest. It started making nest. And there we go. And it's been abandoned. But again, right on the peripheries. Now, different bird species take a different amount of time to leave the nest. And there we go. Mike was wondering how long it'll be till they fly. I think they're quite close to flying, Mike. I'd say they're probably not going to be here in a week or two. But at the moment, even when they do start flying, they will hop around and still stay a little bit close to the nest. And Mom and Dad will still feed them for a while. I can hear Mom and Dad calling somewhere close by. And the babies are not interested in Mom and Dad unless they come with food. Now, this is so exciting, driving down this little track. It's not even a road, it's a track through the bush. And it doesn't look like anyone else has driven here for quite some time. So I always love going down roads like this. As Brian says, it suddenly makes it feel like we're even deeper in the bush than we really are. Or than we are, actually, because we're deep in the bush. But this is now really deep in the bush. Okay, now we have seen another thing. Oh, there we go. Mike, that answers your question. That's why they're squawking so much. That looks like a fledgling. Let's have a look. It is. Look at that. Now, he just took a flight. That one, there's two in the nest above us, and this one was down on a little branch next to us. So they're already starting to fly around. And that would make the sense why Mom was squawking so much. Hey, little one, you're the bravest of the three. So 3 little chicks in that tiny nest. No wonder he decided it was time to move on. Oh, look at that. Still a bit clumsy. But still, he's flown up high enough in a tree to be safe from, well, maybe not from a hungry little leopard cub. But look at this. But they do learn, or they don't learn, that instinct to fly comes in really, really quickly. Oh, it's making noise. That is so cool. So I just look back over our shoulder, and there's still another 2 in the nest. So there were 3, and this one is the bravest or most adventurous or the stupidest. And depending on which way you like to look at life, I'm going to go with the bravest. But of course, being the first out of the nest is always a risk. And of course, still with this young age, you can still hear it calling, and I can hear Mom or Dad calling now as well. So the parents will be keeping an eye on it. Oh. They are quite funny looking little chaps. That's absolutely splendid. Meep. Meep. Mom, did you see that? Mom, did you see that? Ooh. Okay, well we've suddenly come across, there's a few other birds around, and we're just going to show them to you quickly. And the top of that marula on the right hand side, where we're looking, where's my arm? There was a bird hopping in there that looked to be come out a little bit to the left. Where'd he go? There's a hornbill there. There he is. There we go. Yellow-billed hornbill, bird species number 2. Now I can hear lots of noise. Now, of course, birds are one of my favorite things out in the bush, and Bobby Chess is wondering, will birds ever use or steal twigs and nesting material from old nests or abandoned nests? Most definitely they do. In a lot of cases, certain bird species like the Wahlberg's eagles will reutilize and remake that nest every single year. So it is quite common for birds to reuse nests. Now, look at that, hopping around. They're probably looking for caterpillars, one of the moth species that are around at the moment. I think the rollers and the hornbills, the cuckoos are all looking for caterpillars in this area. So this is a good birding area. But we're about to pop off for a short break. But you've got to be back to join us to see what other incredible feathered friends we can find next. Oh! One of the adult white-crowned shrikes just hawked an insect. Let's see if it brings it back to the nest. I'm going to give it a bit of space. No, it's flying away. Maybe it's not. Wait, maybe she's going around the long way to the nest. You see where it landed there, Brian? And that marula tree. Oh, it looks like the hornbill's going to... Now, quite often hornbills will be bullies. Oh, it swallowed it whole, whatever it was, it looks like. So there's one of the adult white crown shrikes. It's a busy job keeping little youngsters well fed. You can still hear the babies. Well, we're going to let that baby continue on his flight, learning without us in the way. As I said, doesn't this just feel so wild and wonderful? I mean, no car tracks on the road. Oh, it's over, Brian. Oh, our little secret. No, it looks like he carries on as a less used track. That's it. That's what we like. Oh. Quickly. No, don't fly away, you terrible birds. Oh, they all flew away. We'll have to find you some more doves a little later to have bird species number 3. While we do that, it seems like Tayla's taking a break and having a snooze.
Down, relaxing, still on holiday, as you can see, out in the sun, catching it. And actually, I'm sitting under a marula tree at the moment, which is quite dangerous. And it's only a matter of time before one of these marulas drop on my head. If you ever do come out of South Africa, don't do what I'm doing, because I'm being quite silly. But there's a beautiful pile of elephant dung here, and well, the elephant doesn't know that I'd be laying down here, and I'm sure if he did know that I'd be laying down here, he probably would have definitely. Now we've come across this pile of dung. It's probably from this morning. It's quite cold. Its moisture has dried quite a bit, but it's covered in life. And just as we're looking at this is an entire ecosystem to what's going on here. You've got all this dung. You haven't just got the dung beetles working around, building their balls. There are midges, there are flies, there are walls, there are midges, there are flies, there are wasps, there are butterflies mud paddling off of this. And it's not necessarily that they're feeding on this vegetation, but most of these insects won't go to water sources to drink. They'll often use drops of water on leaves or grass, and then of course all this lovely moisture that's off of this elephant dung, and it sounds like they're going into Craig's nose. But you'll see the butterflies are coming again. We've had broad-bordered yellows, we've had acrias, there was a guinea fowl butterfly here a moment ago, monarchs, and a couple of pansies have come to visit too. Now I can't see what's on the other side of the dung, and I don't want to get up and frighten them, but I did see a yellow butterfly, which might have been a broad-bordered grass yellow. It looks like it, fluttering around. Oh, hello, you're coming to me to say hello. And aren't they absolutely beautiful? There's even some ants that are starting to join now. And if you look over here, you can see that there's quite a few different types of dung beetles. There's a big one, there's a little one, and I even saw a dung beetle chafer. Let me dig him out over here. Hello. Come. No, I'm not afraid. There he is. Can you see that beautiful one there, Craig? Sorry, I have an injury on my finger, as you may have seen. Kloofing was difficult. Oh, come here. There we go. Can you see that beautiful one going in there? It's a tiny little one, and that's a check. Can you not see it? No, Craig, let me dig him out again. He's naughty. Come back here. I have to pick him up on my finger. There we go. He's on my thumb, which is now covered in elephant poo. How cool is that little guy? Lovely little thing. Just a different one, something that we don't always get to see out here. And he's fallen off. I'll need to wash my fingers. Now, I have to mention to you, Mike, earlier you'd asked a question, how do the dung beetles, of course, roll their balls? Well, now is a perfect example. We can look at them. And if you have a look at this one over here, you can see the ridges that it has on its head as well, that it will almost utilize like a spade. And often you'll see them using it and digging it out, because the dung can sometimes be quite compact. Are you eating it? No, just pulling the stalk out. I can't see it. Maybe it actually does look like it's maybe having a bit of a nibble. Hey, dung beetles. But they're hard at work, and I'm sure that they're very happy. Not only, of course, do they have to roll their balls, but they've got to make sure that they eat 2 so that they can stay fit and strong. And for an insect, they live quite a long time. They can live for up to 3 years, so they need to stay and make sure that they stay strong and healthy. Now we're about to head off to an ad break, just a short one of course. Stick around. Who knows, will this pile of dung be devoured by... Oh, my bad. Sorry, Kirst, I thought we were going into an ad break for some bizarre reason. That was interesting, yes. That was me making a complete mistake. I don't know what I was doing there. It's probably the fumes that I'm getting off of this dung here. It's quite delicious, of course. And I'm sure that you noticed all of the marulas that are in the dung too, all over here. But actually, I have to just point out, look at this dung beetle. Look at the way that it is sitting. It's almost like it's sitting on its bottom, having a snack. You can see it's actually feeding at the moment. That was so funny, because normally we see them sitting right on top of the dung, but that one, the way it had sunken into, of course, the feces, was quite hilarious. Look at it. And as it's having a little nibble, it's not going to stop completely. It's still going to work nice and hard and try and roll that dung up. Now, Mary, hello butterfly, you're wondering how much weight can this dung beetle push sort of in dung? Well, some of the dung balls that I've seen have gotten even larger than the size of a tennis ball. Can you believe that? I mean, that's massive. That's about that big or so. And these beetles, well, they're not particularly big if we had to size comparison. I mean, that's quite much larger. So I'd say at least 10 times the size of their own bodies. They're able to create balls, but they're not always that large. That's actually exceptional. Typically, they're about the size of a golf ball, I would say. But you get, this one is still quite a young one. Here's a much older one, and these dung beetles don't really get too much larger than that. Ooh. I don't know if you can hear the marulas falling down onto the ground, but they're getting closer and closer and closer as I'm laying here. And I wonder if it's about time, because I remember I told you just before I went on holiday, I had eaten so many marulas with David that I said I couldn't bear to eat any more. And I wonder if it's time. I wonder if I could maybe eat another dung beetle. I wouldn't want to eat a dung beetle. Maybe they're larvae. They could be quite tasty. They're nice big grubs. Probably a good source of protein and fat. But a marula, maybe we'll see if we can find some nice ones. Maybe one of these fresh ones that have just fallen off the tree. I do enjoy them when they're tart rather than when they go yellow. I've decided that this year. Now, I believe that, of course, we've got an insect here that's got 6 legs. But James is in the tent, as you know, and he has got something to show you that's got 8 legs.
There we have, everybody, a Volin Spider. One of the few medically important spiders that we get here. And if it bites you, well, as Stefan has many times told you, you'll get a necrotic sore. And your flesh will be eaten away, and you'll be left with a very large hole in whatever limb it has bitten. Doesn't that sound nice? Now, I nearly was bitten by this thing this afternoon because I wasn't actually looking for a spider. We were trying to get at a variable skink that disappeared under the tent. That's where we are, by the way. You're looking straight underneath the tent as opposed to into it. And then I saw the silk from the spider, which is just where my finger's pointing now. And I thought, I don't think I want to put my fingers in there. I think they might get nipped by something. So I lifted up the flap, and there was the Volin Spider. Isn't she beastly? Of course, she has a right to life just like the rest of us, and she's just rather good at defending herself. So I think we'll leave her, and I'm going to try again and try to find the variable skink. So you can see where we are now. Good. Strap in. There we go. You saw who I was, in case you were confused. You see, we're very sophisticated now. We have these... There, David. Move with care, man. Move with care. The variable skink. Oh, here. I can see it. Come over here, David. Come here. Are you ready? It's just under that flap there. Shall I put some light there? Wait a second, I'll get my torch. There's another one here. It's much smaller. Wait, I'm coming now, everyone. Sorry about this. Yes, there it is. There it is. Can you see it there? There, you got him. There is the variable skink that is clearly very comfortable being around. Very comfortable being around the Volin Spider. And I didn't want to try and catch him because, of course, it will probably drop its tail. I don't know if the species does, but probably. And variable because it comes in a variety of colors. Oh, he's so cute. I don't know, there's something about lizards I find deeply appealing. Not so much the monitor lizards, but these chaps I just find greatly enjoyable. I don't know why, but there they are. And there was a baby one over there, possibly the consort of that one. Anyway, you see, all things happen here at the tent, and what I think is so nice about this is quite sort of related to how what I used to think was nice about living in the town, and that was that no matter what we do as human beings, as soon as we leave things alone, the wilderness starts to take over again. So, and I mean, I think I've said this to a few of you before, what happens when we go to, or when I used to walk along the pavement, or go for a jog in the evenings when I was living in Johannesburg, teaching the guitar for my sins. I'm sure I've just gone pale at the thought. Anyway, when I used to see grass growing up through the cracks of the pavement, I used to feel a real kind of touch of wild was still all around me if we just let it sort of come through the cracks. And the tent is exactly the same. It's now been sat in this position for the last 3 months or so, and slowly nature's taking over. There are skinks living underneath, there are spiders living underneath here. Every time we come in here, there's some new creature that's taken up residence, and it's just rather wonderful, I think. Now, Barbara, in Texas, you want to know if my Volin spider is the same as your brown recluse spider. Barbara, I don't know, but I will do some research on that. I suspect not. I suspect you'll find that most of our spiders are probably fairly distantly related, but as I've said that, I know that you do get widow spiders. I'm going to have a look. And I tell you what, Barbara, let's get a good picture of the Volin spider, and then you can tell me if it looks like a brown recluse, which I have heard of. I don't know why or how I've heard of it, but I've certainly heard of the brown recluse. Now, we've got to go to the index again. Violin. Yes, there we are. 102. Now, there's actually quite a nice one. There. Is that a Volin spider? No, it's not. No, it's not. That's a spitting spider. Hang on a second. There we go. That is a Volin spider there and there. Now, there are obviously different kinds of Volin spiders, and the one we had is very much like that one there. Loxoceles species. So there are lots of different kinds, and they're called violin. If we go back to the top one, apparently because that is supposed to look like a violin, I don't think that looks like a violin at all. I've spent much time around stringed instruments, and I've never seen a violin that looks like that. It looks totally unlike a violin. In fact, it doesn't look like any musical instrument I've ever seen. Anyway, so Barbara, you can tell us if that is the same as your brown recluse. I don't think it is, but I don't know. And C. Evans, you want to know what my... C? Say that again.
An F.
C with an F of... Oh, Fee. Fee Evans. Fee Evans, I think you wanted to know what my favourite lizard is. Is that correct? Right, my favourite lizard is probably the spotted sandfelt lizard. They are a beautiful colour, coppery orange tails with little white spots on them, and I really quite like them. I'll show you a picture of them once you have returned from a sighting of pyjamas and hopefully Xongile.
We have for now left Xongile purely on the basis that I promise you we could not see any part of her. And that's the joy of filming live wildlife, is sometimes they are very cooperative and sometimes they want to go and sleep underneath a bush, and that is entirely their prerogative, especially on such a hot afternoon. So I've left her with Tax, who, when I last looked back, was struggling to try and show his guests exactly where the leopards were. And Tax, of course, for our new viewers, works at Djuma. So we've left Xongile for now. We will go back to her and we'll go and see what she's got up to. And of course, as you know, sitting with our young prince and princess is always, well, any young leopard is always thoroughly entertaining because they're always up to something. And I'm sure as soon as it gets a little bit cooler, Xongile is going to come out. She'll probably go and have a drink. So we will go back to her. But for now, since I've been away for a few days, it's nice to just get reacquainted with the area. See what's happening, see where everything is, and potentially, or there's always the possibility that we could bump into Karula. Or Hosana. I don't think he's too far away from Xongile either. So that is our plan for this afternoon. Do a little loop, see what else we can see, and then go back to young Xongile, see what she's got up to. I can see that it's rained quite a bit here as well, just judging from the couple of puddles that are still around and the hardness of the roads. It's definitely been, it rained far more than it rained in Hoedspruit, which is not all that far away. We had about 3 drops, what felt like 3 drops. What you up to, Hornbill? Ah, being impossible. No, he's almost invisible. Now, talking about the rain, Mary in Wisconsin, thank you for sending through your question. Mary, you wanted to know whether or not there are any reports of rain in our area. And the answer to that is, I actually don't know. I heard that there was quite a bit of rain to the eastern side of Hoedspruit. I never do this, VM, and I might not do it now. There's a butterfly that I want to look at, and it's there. It's the black and white. Yeah, I know. Did it just fly under my wheels? Sorry, I was about to answer the question on rain, but I got distracted by the diadem butterfly. And that's my... is it sitting still? What a stupid question, is it sitting still? There it is. Stay! Stay! Generally, I tend to prefer moths to butterflies. I don't know why, but I find moths somewhat more, I don't know, I mean, I just find them more interesting, or I just generally find them more attractive. But this is my favorite butterfly, hands down, and the male diadem butterfly. The females are very bland looking, do not have this stark contrasting black and white coloration, which immediately tells us that it serves some kind of a reproductive purpose. Isn't it beautiful? You know, we tend to think of butterflies as being these beautifully colored things, but I really, really enjoy the diadem butterflies. They're okay, hard to say, but I think they're my favorite. And he's being very cooperative because he's currently looking for the moisture in the soil. Isn't that stunning? So there's obviously still you can actually see the soil's quite damp. And you get these collections of butterflies gathered around the various puddles in the area. Beautiful. Okay. Not like me to linger too long on butterflies. But I just had to draw your attention to that one. Now, to go back to the question about rain. Are there any reports of big rains? Mary in Wisconsin, I've heard it's rained a lot in the south. I heard that the rivers are flowing strongly. And I've heard that there's been lots of rain sort of to the eastern side of Hoedspruit. As to whether or not it's going to make its way here again, I'm not 100% sure. I'm a bit out of the loop, and generally, as you know, my ability at weather predictions would rival that of a weather reporter. I mean, I'm really, really bad at it. VM, on the other hand, sorry to any of you who might happen to be meteorologists or weather reporters, just in my general experience, they tend to be inaccurate, but I hope I didn't offend any of you that might have that as a profession. The cameramen seem to be far better at predicting the weather.
What? You just log on to that website, that old school wind map.
Oh, VM says their secret, you should have kept it a secret, VM. So yeah, VM says their secret is logging on to the wind map and predicting what's going to happen from there. I still think you lot have got a secret talent from it, because, I mean, you can't tell me that Dave predicted that downpour months in advance by looking at the wind map. That was sheer blind luck. So our cameramen generally tend to be better at the whole weather. There's a little antelope hiding there. You see how much harder everything has got now that the grass is long? I swear there was an antelope there. I promise you there was a Steenbok in that grass. I can't see it running away. No, fly, not up my nose. I promise you. Now I feel like I'm going mental. Where has it gone? It must have run away, but how? I would have seen it. Surely. Aha! Ha ha! There is an antelope there, playing hide and seek with us. See how much more difficult everything has got since the grasses have grown. There you go, a little male Steenbok that is lying down in the thick green grass and probably feeling very grateful for the fact that the vegetation has thickened so much over the last few months and provided the perfect hiding spot. I mean, he's next to invisible. If you're not looking, if you didn't spot the movement of his ears, he really is so well hidden, despite the fact that he's a sort of a reddish, tannish color. He basically vanishes. You can just see one enormous dark eye looking at us, and the light parts of his ears as he listens to me talk. Perfect hiding place. Of course, it comes with its own dangers, I imagine. I mean, a leopard could walk right into it, and it would have no idea until the leopard was on top of it. If the wind was blowing, as it is this afternoon, if a leopard came from upwind of it, downwind of it, I mean, and it happened to surprise it, it wouldn't stand a chance. It would have no idea. I suppose that's why they listen so very, very intently. Oh, there we go. A little hidden male Steenbok. Lionheart, you say that you love his big eyes. I do too. I think Steenbok are high up there on my list of favourite antelope, which, you know, kind of changes day to day, depending on when you ask me and how I'm feeling at the time. But generally, Steenbok are one of my favourite. They've got these massive, very shiny-looking eyes. I don't know, I mean, obviously all antelope have very shiny-looking eyes, but somehow Steenbok seem particularly bright-eyed. Even when there's one sleeping and hidden in the grasses there. They do have beautiful eyes, though. They're actually beautiful little antelope. When I was a child, I always wanted a pet one. And a very warm welcome to Mike, who I think might be one of our newer viewers, perhaps joining us for the first time or the second time. A very warm welcome to Mike, and welcome to your new Safari Live addiction. Mike, you want to know if this is a baby deer. It isn't. It is a fully grown antelope. Big difference here in Africa is that we only, or at least this part of Africa, we only have antelope, which are basically the equivalent of deer. The big difference is that their horns are made of bone and not of hardened blood vessels and cartilage and so on. So they are solid bone that they do not shed every year. So it is an antelope. There are other differences, but that is one of the main ones. And this is one of our smallest species that we see in this particular area. So this is a fully grown male. He is lying down, though, which is making him look much smaller than he would otherwise. But even standing up, they're often mistaken by first-time visitors to Africa as being babies, just because they are so very, very tiny. He wouldn't come up much above my knee in terms of height. Very tiny little creatures. The smallest antelope, of course, in Africa is the blue duiker, and I've seen them, used to see them with my grandfather down in the coastal areas. Unfortunately, we don't get them here, but they are utterly adorable. And there we go, talking about the size of the two animals. Amy, you want to know, how does a Steenbok compare to a duiker in terms of size? They are pretty much the same size. A Steenbok is slightly shorter at the shoulder and not quite as long. It's not often that we get to see a Steenbok and duiker next to each other. It does happen every now and again. The duiker just have a fraction, particularly lengthwise. They're just that little bit longer, but really it is a very small difference between the two of them. They are two smallest antelope that we see regularly here, and they're pretty much closely matched. It's actually fascinating, because essentially a duiker and a Steenbok do pretty much the same thing. I mean, I know all antelope essentially do the same thing, but what I mean is they occupy the same niche in a habitat. They're tiny deer, they live in monogamous pairs, they live in tiny territories, and they feed off essentially the same things. It's fascinating. Of course, there's all kinds of fascinating tiny creatures out here. One way to find them is on the vehicle, the other way is on foot. Let's go and see what Tayla's found.
You've seen a violin spider with James. Now we've got one of the more beautiful spiders out here, and also not quite as deadly as the violin spider, but it is a golden orb spider. And if you're looking at it, you're probably thinking, but Tayla, the web is not gold, which might be a little bit surprising, because of course that's where they get their name from. But something really incredible about these beautiful spiders is that they're able to control the amount of pigment that they release into the silk. So some days maybe they're feeling like they're going to have a party and need to get dressed up and put their best web out. Well, then they put all the golden pigment that they possibly can. This one, however, maybe is feeling a little bit sad and a bit gloomy, because its web has got no golden sheen whatsoever. And it's quite a small one still. It's got quite a bit of growing to do. And it looks like it's missing a leg. I've just realized that. Is it? 1, 2, 3, 4? Yes. So just if you count, you can see it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 legs on the left, on my right. Then if you go across to the left-hand side, it's actually missing one of its legs. That's incredible. But you can see it's still very active. Anything that touches the web, it's still racing on over to see if it could possibly eat it. Unfortunately, it didn't look like much. I think it was just a bit of grass or something. You can see there's actually quite a few bits of seeds and all sorts of bits of grass and things that have already caught into the web. But that's all right. It helps sort of camouflage it and disguise it slightly. And well, hopefully it manages to catch a little critter of some sort. But what we're going to do next, and we're going to leave the spider now, is, and you should remember from last week and possibly the rest of the guides have been showing you again, is of course the caterpillars of the African migrant butterfly. We saw them. I told you that I saw them laying their eggs on the senna plants on a run, and I went out and I showed you the eggs. We eventually, about 2 weeks later, saw them hatching, and we saw all the little caterpillars eating away. Now, when are they gonna spin their silk and make a cocoon? Maybe they go underneath the ground to develop. I'm not sure, but that's going to be our goal. Is we're going to check all the senna plants and see if we can find how they will basically metamorphosize. So we've got one over here. We have to have a little bit of a look, and it doesn't look like there's anything in this one, but we're going to keep searching away. Actually, it doesn't look like it's, a couple of the leaves have been munched on, but really that's it. It doesn't actually, and there's still 2 eggs here. Have a look here. These eggs haven't even hatched yet. Craig, you know how tiny they are. There they are. So those ones have not hatched just yet. So perhaps in another 2 weeks, or maybe give or take a couple of days or so, they will hatch and turn into caterpillars and then devour this senna plant. We're going to keep searching and see if we can find a cocoon of some sort, but I'm going to send you back across to Brent, who seems to have a bird's nest of some sort.
Well, and welcome back to Brent and Brian's birding bonanza. And we are with a whole bunch of weaver birds. And they are busy building their nests. The males work extremely hard to get the female's approval, and if she doesn't like it, he's got to start again, like that poor fellow on the bottom left there, building away. Now, there are 3 different types of masked weavers that we get in this area. and they can be quite tough to tell apart. So I'm going to let you guys tell me which weaver that is. Let's go on that male who's right there in the middle. Brian, he's posing nicely. So you want to look at eye color, and you also want to look at markings on the wings. And so who thinks they can tell me which weaver species this is? So there are 3 possible masked weavers that we get in this area, and let's see who can tell me who they are. Now, the other thing we've noticed while we're sitting here, initially I thought a large catfish or a monitor lizard or something had made its way already into the very full Djuma Dam. It is really, really full. It's beautiful here at the moment. But now, I think he's a little bit to the, no, you're in the right, a little bit to the left. And suddenly, we're just going to leave the camera there. There we go. Look there. It is a very nervous hippo. So it's a very shy hippo, and that's obviously heard us, and he's gone right into underneath that tree where he's feeling a bit protected, and he's just breathing with his nostrils popping out of the water. There he is again. Hello, nervous hippo. Oh, shame. So, this hippo might not be comfortable. It might be a young male that's been chased out and has now found itself this wonderful big dam all to itself. Now, it's amazing how much water is. I was chatting and I heard that Cheetah Plains got more water than in the last storm than we did in Djuma, so I thought, well, I must come have a look at the water holes. Now, this is the Djuma Dam, and it's backfilled this little drainage line for about 200 meters as well. So there's a whole little river system going up there. So very, really wonderful, and lots of water around, and nice to have weavers back over the water. Now, just like those little white-crowned shrikes that we saw earlier, the reason that weavers have nested where they have is because it's harder for predators to get to them. So they are very, very cool birds, and it sounds like we've got some answers for our weaver quiz. Now, here we go, have a quick look there. Bandit says a southern masked weaver. Ooh, unfortunately not. Well, there's one of the 3 options gone, so that obviously only leaves the other option with the red eye. Well, Raisa said lesser masked weaver. Raisa, I'm afraid it's not. So you've got to look at that eye color very carefully. I know it's a bit far. Now, the lesser masked weaver has a yellow eye. Anthony, it is not a yellow weaver. Almost all the weavers are yellow in some form. A golden weaver or yellow weaver. We don't actually get yellow weavers in the Sabi Sands. They occur along the coastal belt into Mozambique and Tanzania. That leaves one more of the masked weavers. Now, I didn't say it had masked. There we go. Well done, Judy in California. You are indeed spot on. It is indeed the village weaver. And it sounds like there are a few others out there who got it as well. And I'll explain to you why shortly why it's not a southern masked weaver, which also has a red eye. Now, I told you the eyes were important, but it was a bit of a trick. I was being naughty. So here we go. There's the village weaver, and that's what it is. You see, it's much more darkly marked on its back. And if we look at the the southern masked weaver, and you see it's much more plain on the back. But the other big thing is that the southern masked weaver, the black extends to the top of the bill, where there is on, Brian, and on the village weaver, he's got a yellow forehead. So there we go. Now, there we go. Well, one more. Here we go. There it is. And then when we look at the lesser masked weaver, you can see the very distinct yellow eye. Okay, there we go. Now, of course, nesting in a place like that, which is difficult for predators to get to, also comes with the sun's very bright, with a few disadvantages, and one of them is that your chicks often drown. And Kitty Bang Bang was wondering, won't the weaver nest babies fall into the water? They do. And in situations like this, now the catfish haven't got back here yet, or they could have, but they will walk or actually crawl across land for up to 2 or 3 kilometers between different water holes, and you get often very big catfish under colonies of weavers, and they eat the babies that fall out of the nests. Now, another thing you always want to look for carefully when you get to see a nice weaver colony is snakes. Now, boomslangs in particular are great hunters of baby weavers. So every time I drive past a nice weaver colony, I always double check that there isn't a snake. Or when there's a snake, normally the weavers are making one heck of a racket. So it's quite easy to tell. There we go. That guy's nearly done. Or is he stealing? Well, there we go. Off they go. Okay, we're going to do the same. Now, we've got a few more water holes. Wait, before we go, we've got some wonderful swallows that we're drinking. Come back, have another drink. Brian's going to try. This is going to be really difficult. Oh, they're so fast. There's some barn swallows or European swallows having a drink as well. But they are incredibly quick. Doop. I think swallows must be one of the hardest birds to film, man, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Lovely, Brian. Lovely. Off the swallow goes, and so shall we, as Brent and Brian continue on their birding bonanza. Let's go to a baboon in a tent watching some other baboons at a dam.
Bow! Bow! Sorry, everybody, for that display. I had to play to Brent's marvellous joke. There are no baboons in that particular shot. There were baboons. They are around. Oh, there's one there, going into the camp. No, that's Xongile. Zumi, you were doing such a good job of finding them, and I think they've outsmarted you, or you've just decided that you'd rather look at those rather spectacular antelope back there. Those, of course, are the Xongile. And I wonder if they won't do us a little jump. That fence there that you can see all the way around the Vulture camp is of absolutely no consequence to them whatsoever. They just walk up to it and jump over. Let's just watch that male there going behind the tree. No. Mr. Zumi, Miss Zumi, Mrs. Zumi, Master Zumi, Sir Zumi, Professor Zumi, could you perhaps try and zoom out a little and see if those baboons have gone somewhere close by? Oh, what a pity. Anyway, we'll see if we can't see them at some stage. #delay, as Kirsten says. The Zumi, there's a slight delay between them receiving what I'm saying, of course, and then their ability to move the camera. I see it's moving now, so perhaps we'll find the baboons again. Now, have a look under the microscope. There we have the surface of a leaf that has been denuded of all forms of chlorophyll. Now, what I'm going to do is point at a place just underneath here to show you. Oh, no, hang on. There we go. Can you see my pointer, bottom right? You can see there that the green surface, which contains probably all the nutrients, minus all the cellulose, has been eaten away by an extremely clever animal. And that clever animal I'm quickly going to show you now, slipping it gently under the microscope. There is this great vast collection of caterpillars. Now, the plant they're living on is Waltheria indica. What they're doing there, I don't really know. other than eating, but I don't know what they're going to be. And so I'm going to keep these ones and see what they turn into. I will feed them Walthera on a daily basis, very friendlily, and make sure that I say nice things to them so that they grow into whatever butterfly or moth that they are supposed to. We're going to take a very short break now. When you come back, Brent Leo Smith has got a very large surprise for you over on Cheetah Plains. See you very shortly. We're now in advert break, and during the advert break, during which there will be no adverts, we're going to go to Brent.
Well, we didn't have to move more than 2 meters. And look at this. As we started moving, this young elephant bull came cavorting towards the... Oh, look at this! He's having so much fun! I'm jealous. I want to go swimming. Pure ecstasy on that elephant at the moment, and this is quite a deep water hole, so I'm wondering, and we're really hoping, Brian, I said we haven't seen elephants swim in ages, and I think he's going to do that. Well, apparently you guys have seen it with Byron, but the killer bees haven't seen it, have they, Brian? Yeah. Look at this. The best time. Oh, there we go. Sit down. Under the water. Oh, this is absolutely splendid. Don't be embarrassed. Carry on. By all means, carry on. There we go. No, of course he's doing this to cool off, but elephants are really, look at him, playful. That is magic. Magic, magic, magic. Come on, do another little funny trumpet. Oh, this is incredible. I haven't seen an elephant have this much fun in such an age. And you can just hear that splashing. Come on, dive down again. When we spotted him coming up to the water hole, he was maneuvering to get here, and Anne says there is nothing more fun than watching an Ellie have a swim, and I have to agree with you. Look at that. Mister. Just like a kid, I can make the biggest splash. There he goes, right under. Here we go. I'm a whale. asleep before we could leave our birds. Look at this! This is an elephant bull having the best time ever. It's been a scorching day today, and just as we were about to leave our weaver birds, this young elephant bull charged up and decided to go for a swim. And he is definitely making the most of the rains we've been having. Now, of course, we've seen them go all the way under the water, and JC's wondering, can they hold their breath underwater? Yes, they can. I've seen them actually cross the Zambezi River, the Chobe River, which is massive spots where they do have to hold their breath for a little while, but generally they'll use their trunk as a snorkel. He's charging something in his mind. Oh, it looks like swimming time's over. Come on, you know you want to stay longer. You know you want to get back in the water. Yes, of course you do. Oh, there is something incredible about elephants. For me in particular, just give me such a sense of well-being when you're around elephants, and seeing them displaying and playing like this, just really thoroughly loving the water. The scared hippo should take some notes about how to play in the water. Hey, mister. On his backside. He's like I could watch this all day. So there are not too many water holes. Look, there we go, almost completely submerged, that are deep enough for an Ellie to do this. This is one of them. There we go. What next? Head down. Make a splash. Are you going to start trying to be a big deal with me? I'll sort you out if you do. Yeah. Are you going to be a big deal, or are you going to be well behaved now that you finished your swim? Hey. Don't be a big deal. Don't look down your nose at me, mister. I'll sort you out. Just because you're nice and cool. Don't be a big deal. Yeah, good. Learned your lesson. Off you go. Naughty little chap. He decided he'd scared every single small aquatic insect to death, that he was going to try and do the same with Brian and myself. Of course, we will have none of that behavior. Don't try come from behind the tree. That doesn't work either. I know what you're up to. Yeah, you should look embarrassed. Yes. Off you go. Wasn't that absolutely incredible? He's heading off into the thickets now to go carry on feeding. he leaves us with an expulsion of air from his rear end. Now, strangely enough, I said he must get the scared hippo. The scared hippo actually seemed to get quite upset and actually popped out about there, just as he was starting to misbehave with us. And you can just see that sort of movement. There we go, Brian's spot on there with the movements in the water. So the hippo came to investigate the noisy elephant. There we go. You're not so scared now. You definitely chased him out of the water, hippo. It's your water. Oh, no, there's more. There's more than one scared hippo. Oh, wonderful. Oop, off they go. And off we go. I mean, we had such grand plans about the amount of distance we're going to cover and areas we're going to check. But since we got into Cheetah Plains, we've done about 600 meters. It's just been wonderful. And Brian and I did say we would like to see an elephant being naughty today. And, well, having the best time ever out there. And while we continue on, let's go have a look from up above.
Now, you might be asking what I'm doing here, and I will tell you shortly. But first we must take to the air for a look at some pigs. There we are. There are some pigs, and they're from the air. That's amazing, that actually, because pigs, we know, are very nervous, but perhaps not of things hovering above them. That's really sweet. It looks like mum and one... Ooh, I actually can't make that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pigs. Is it 6 babies? No, can't be. I think there's a big one in front, a mother and some youngsters behind. There we go. Now we can see that. That's beautiful. That really is rather wonderful. I don't know exactly what they're doing or where they are, but they'll be looking for food and they like to stay in those open areas. What I love about that shot there is how clearly open you can see the area is where the pigs are, and they're choosing to be in it, but also, as I've said before, it looks so very thick when we're driving along the road. And when you look from the air, you can see that there's actually quite a lot of open space. And that's what many of the animals like to live in, especially as it moves towards the end of the day. I think that's probably a sounder of 2 pigs, so a bit of a freezing there. Sorry about that. Anyway, wonderful to see pigs from the air. That might be our first air pig sighting. Now, pink